I was running, got a text from somebody, kept going, and just tweeted it. And, the class just kept going. And the instructor comes over to me, like, in between the exercise and was like, hey, if you're going to break news in my class, make sure it's the Giants. I go, how'd you know? He's like, I have you on alerts. I started laughing. I was like, that's awesome. Scoop City is brought to you by Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Hi, everybody. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the NFL.
Chase, I feel so bad for Caleb Williams. I feel so bad for the Bears. I feel bad for the city of Chicago right now.
What about the fans? That's who I feel bad for. They have to watch this product put on the field. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And they're not very happy. They're not happy at all right now.
No, I feel for them.
I know, which is why I thought today we would bring on our Bears beat reporter, the Athletics' Kevin Fishbain. He's going to join us later for a lot of reasons, to give us some news on what's going on with the team, what's going on in the locker room, what everyone's talking about, what they're saying. He's down on the ground with that team all the time, so he's going to give us all the answers to what everyone is chatting about out in Chicago. Then we're going to go back to Germany for a second to just talk about the disaster of the New York Giants. We're going to head out to Dallas to see what's going on. The Cowboys blinded by the light, and not in a very good way. Right, so we got these teams that they're swirling the drain, right? And we talk about them a lot on the show, but then you got the opposite. You got these teams that are soaring high, like the Detroit Lions, what's up, who just have figured out ways to win, much like the Kansas City Chiefs had the last few weeks, right? So let's get right to this, though. Here is what I'm hearing around the league. Chase, it seems here heading into week 11, a lot of teams have really found their stride, right? And then you've got some of them that are doing the absolute opposite. It appears things are just falling apart. The wheels are popping off. The engine's smoking.
The sky is falling.
Yeah, but in some cases, I feel like it is. It feels like rock bottom. Without being dramatic, we're here. We're at that point. There's no longer, well...
Yeah, you can't wait any longer.
They can turn it around. It's over. Time's up. That's actually a great way to put it. Time is up. And for the New York Giants, time is up. They have hit the absolute rock bottom, most of it having to do with the fact that their quarterback has really been the issue this entire season. In fact, probably the last few years. So they lose to the Carolina Panthers 20-17. They're heading into their bye right now. The team is having discussions about what they want to do next. Do they want to bench Daniel Jones? Do they want to hand the keys over to Drew Lock, the backup quarterback? Because remember, in this situation with Daniel Jones, he has a injury guarantee for 2025.
$23 million.
Right? So think Derek Carr, think Russell Wilson, where we've seen teams do this before, where they make a decision as an organization. Okay, season's over. This isn't going to work with them. We need to protect our pocketbooks. So let's sit the guy and just finish out the season. But the problem with that, though, right now, Chase, is it is only week 11. Like, it's only mid-November. We've got a lot of football left. And that would be a really big move, I believe, for the New York Giants to say, okay, that's it for Daniel Jones right now.
I mean, yeah, it'd be a huge move if you're benching your quarterback you forgot another guy, too, Matt Ryan in 2022. They did that as well when they benched him because they didn't want to pay his injury guarantee. And his injury guarantee is $23 million, so it's a lot of money. But it's a big decision in that locker room, in that organization. Are you going to bench him? Are you not? Clearly, whatever happens, bench or not, this is going to be his last season in New York. I'll go ahead and say that.
Yeah, I think.
And it looks bad. A little bit on Joe Schoen with how much he decided to ride with Daniel Jones, specifically on Hard Knocks, because you had an elite quarterback class, 6 quarterbacks taken in the top 15 of this draft, and you decided not to draft a quarterback. You decided not to move up. You decided to stick with Daniel Jones and the $40 million plus a contract you gave him for a year, and now you're having to pay the piper. Right? You're having to deal with the repercussions of your actions. And when you look forward to this class, we had Sando on a couple weeks ago, right? From The Athletic. It's not very good. It's not very deep. Are you willing and think that Quinn Ewers or Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward is going to be, the guy that you're going to ride with? And then that brings me to my next question. Like, what about Brian Daboll? Like, has he done enough to do? Is Joe Schoen showed enough to like keep the job? Because it's just a cluster. It's a mess. It's not good right now in New York.
Well, after watching 6 weeks of this product, their owner, John Mara, pretty much gave that regime of Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen that vote of confidence, right? So
Or the kiss of death.
We've been calling it the kiss of death on this show, but publicly, the owner did that to state the case that he believes in these guys. And his track record has shown that he's done this before in season where he has given his vote of confidence and then things all change, right? But it comes down to the quarterback. Daniel Jones is 24, 44, and 1 as a starter, right?
But he won a playoff game. That's what they're riding their hope on. You know what I mean?
Look, they had their feet to the fire there. That year coming off that season where Daniel Jones was good, Saquon Barkley was good. They signed both of those players, and they sort of had to make the move at that point. And now they're living with that decision. And of course, they're living with the decision of letting Saquon Barkley walk to Philadelphia. That was a big decision they had to make of letting their best offensive weapon go, because you look at their run game, it's not great. Defensively, they've been right in the middle, right? They're 7th in red zone, 9th on third down, 15th in points. It's the rushing yards. That's what's killing them. The ground game, defending it, has really been their biggest problem. Bengals, Steelers, Commanders, Eagles have just absolutely walked all over them. So I just think we talk the bottom of the barrel. I think Daniel Jones's time in New York is going to be over. And I don't feel comfortable saying Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen's jobs are secure. I'm not. Really? I am not sold on that. How? Look at their draft classes from the last few years. Kadarius Toney, Kayvon Thibodeau, Evan Neal, Deonte Banks, Malik Neighbors hit. He's obviously really good. But it's the foundation of what the New York Giants want to be is not, they're not coming through. So I just think it's a really tough argument for this group to make, to say, hey, our jobs should be safe.
So here's another thing that I thought, Diana, too, is because the Giants are losing right now, and you would say most of it is because of Daniel Jones, why wouldn't you just ride with them for the rest of the year? Because if you ride with Daniel Jones for the rest of the year, you might get a higher draft pick than when you switch to Drew Lock. Because I think Drew Lock will give that juice, right? Now, this is a real thing. Like, I'm not saying tanking, but you could also say, hey, like, Daniel Jones, you ain't playing very well right now. Let's just ride with you a little bit more. It sounds crazy, but I've seen crazier things happen, because when you put a backup quarterback in, usually you get a little boost, like an interim coach boost. You're going to get this boost with Drew Lock. You don't want to be winning these games and getting yourself out of draft position.
Yeah, well, with a head coach probably fighting for his job, they're going to want to put themselves in a position to.
So you do think he's fighting for his job? You do think that it could be one of those things where if it ends poorly, like it's going now, he could be gone?
The vote of confidence came so early in the season.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
That you've got so much left here in the season that what if the Giants show up every single week and they just flop? Like, how could you as the owner say that this team wants to play for this coach? This is what the New York Giants are? That's not going to be good enough for them. It doesn't matter how much respect Brian Daboll does have in that building, because they like him. They know he's a really good offensive coordinator. I just don't know if they believe in his head coaching ability.
Regime
at this point.
to like be fully on Daniel Jones. Like, give him another quarterback. Give him his quarterback. Right?
You're stating the case for Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, so we'll see if John Mara will buy into that. And meantime, you got the Detroit Lions, right? We talk about just their ceiling right now. They are soaring sky high. There's so much football that we can talk about in terms of why the Detroit Lions are having success, whether it's just having the best offensive line in football, their weapons are all executing when they need to. I just like the idea that they believe in themselves so much. You can see it.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Like the confidence that they're going to figure out a way to win the game. You can see it in teams like the Detroit Lions compared to teams that don't have it. And it's very obvious just as a viewer when you're watching these games.
Well, the resiliency and the grit that they showed when, especially Jared Goff. My guy threw 5 interceptions. After 3 interceptions, if I'm the starter, I'm just like not throwing the ball down the field more than 10 yards. Like hoping the play, I don't throw 4. And then he throws 5 and it doesn't faze him. And they're down by more than 15 points. and Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, and you're able to come back on the road versus a contender in the Texans and win that game. Talk about a hallmark win for a franchise. And it was their worst game that they played in 2 years, probably. And they still beat a very good Houston Texans team. To me, it's the mark of a head coach knowing exactly what his team is. And it's always, always, always going to be a chance for them to win a game. In fact, I looked up this stat because I was like, when's the last time a team has won when a quarterback threw 5 interceptions and they were down 15 or more points? Go back 44 years ago to 1970 for that stat. Like, that's how long ago a team that did those things won. So if they can win there, it just showed me they're a true contender.
I would love to know just sort of what the inward voice was, or the sort of the brain and the emotions, the soul of Jared Goff during that. Like, what is he saying to himself during those? At what point are you just numb to it? At what point are you just like, I stink? I stink.
You're not.
Like,
he's not Dak Prescott on the field saying he stinks. But
you're not supposed to do this as a professional athlete. I understand that, but it is one thing to get over 1 mistake, 2 mistakes, but 5, that is a lot. So credit for him to just continue to just crazy. Fight out there. But just the fact that both running backs, they both have 122 carries, right? So like, translation there is they are really good at staying balanced. Right? Like, that is
Sonic
where,
and Knuckles. I love that nickname, by the way.
Yeah, yep. All driven by the best offensive line in football. Remaining schedule for them, too. Jacksonville, Colts.
Win.
Bears, Packers, Bills, Atlanta.
Win.
Bears again.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the driver's seat for the... And that was the thing. Like, are they the best team in the NFC over the Philadelphia Eagles? I really think so. Like, Philly's rolling right now, but I would trust... I would trust the coach, man. I would trust the coach.
Well, my Monday morning routines have become a cup of coffee and watching post locker room celebrations with some coach
those are sweet.
Speech, and Dan Campbell leads the way with the best ones.
Harbaugh had a good one this past week too.
He did. I just want him to come on our show. I don't want to ask him a question. I just want him to talk about Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
like that's it.
Herbert's a beast now.
He comes up with all these different ways. He's tremendous. Gosh, it's not their year yet, but it's going to happen. Like, I believe in the Chargers, but they're not a team that I think is either sky high or rock bottom. I actually think they're right in between. The team that I do think is rock bottom, and it has everything to do with the fact that their quarterback is probably going to miss the rest of the season. That's the Dallas Cowboys, right? So Dak Prescott.
They are for sure rock bottom, by the way. Like, that's bad.
Thank you for clarifying that. I think we all have seen it. It's just, but here's the thing, Chase. We spend so much time in September believing in them, and
who did, not me.
It's still hard for me to believe that they're this bad.
Why? They don't have a run game. Their offensive line stinks. Dak was throwing multiple interceptions. They've been hit by the injury bug. Like, I'll give you that. Actually, this bad is hard to believe.
Embarrassing losses. Yeah, embarrassing. The Eagles, the Lions, the Ravens, the Saints. I mean, unwatchable Dallas Cowboys. Where Stephen A. Smith's got like 17 cigars in his mouth celebrating these losses because they're so ridiculous.
That was funny.
So. Look, we're always going to blame Jerry in this because everyone said you need to fix the run game. You need to get some more depth on defense. And he kept saying the whole time, everything will be fine. Obviously, things are not fine. So Dak is 31 years old and potentially coming off a season-ending injury. Micah wants a new deal. We've got a lot. So before we move on to our team that we think is soaring, do you think this is a 1-year fix for Dallas? Because that's where I'm at now. I'm done with this year. Can they fix this next year with a new head coach, new coordinators? Can this get better?
Yeah, I mean, everyone in the building is going to be fired, right? But I think until Jerry Jones gets fired, oh, wait, he can't get fired because he's the owner. And you got to fire the GM. Oh, wait. You can't fire the GM. It's Jerry Jones as well. So until that gets fixed, no, I don't think so. I mean, it's always a clown show and a circus when you go to Dallas and they're trying to get a new coach. What coach, other than the money, which I'm sure the money will be good, is going to want to deal with Jerry Jones?
See,
Like,
I
like, think
disagree
about
with
it.
you. I disagree.
I mean,
I
I'm
talk to
glad,
coaches
but-
that want jobs. The dream is the Dallas Cowboys.
Why is it the dream? They care more about tours of players than the Dallas Cowboys. Like, and with Jerry as the GM, do you ever have true control? Like, these power hungry head coaches, like that want the power, like Ben Johnson. Do you think they're going to get a Ben Johnson? Do you think Ben Johnson's going to want to go there and not have control of roster and stuff like this? Like, it's just, we win 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins, and then you have a disaster like this, and you don't spend on like go out and get Derrick Henry. I mean, I can just go on and on. I know it's just,
but
it pisses me off, honestly.
Let's just see when the coaching hiring starts again, that cycle. I will Uber Eats you some dinner for the entire family if I find out that there's some head coaches declining the Dallas Cowboys job the way I think coaches will do
about the
for
money.
other teams. No, I'm saying because let's say I'm able to find out that it's because of Jerry. If one candidate, I'll just say one, tells me he's not going to take an interview with the team or he's not interested in working for Dallas because of Jerry Jones, again, full dinner on me.
Could you imagine Bill Belichick and Jerry Jones together?
Blockbuster. Want it to happen. Let's make it happen. The Steelers, okay, steady Eddie. They're not flashy. I feel like we look around and boom, there are the Pittsburgh Steelers winning again 4 in a row. Russell Wilson now 3-0 since he was named starter of this team, finding ways and doing exactly what you said Arthur Smith's play sheet would basically look like, which is run the ball a little bit, sort of just throw the ball up in the air and hope that Pickens or Williams comes down with it. And essentially that's what they're doing every single week.
I love watching, and I didn't think I'd say this, and so this is growth for me because I like watching Russell Wilson run that offense over Justin Fields. And when I say that, it's because there's so many of these run pass kills. I just watched the game again. Like you have a run called and then you're going to kill it to a pass play, or you have a pass play called and you're going to switch it to a run play. And at the center of it is Russell Wilson. He's up there alerting it, getting protections fixed, getting to the right plays. And then you see the plays that he alerts to on 2 of them. The one touchdown to George Pickens, he alerted to a man beater play, a corner route, and threw George Pickens open with the back shoulder corner. I mean, it's just like, it was like a symphony. And it was like, it was one of the coolest things I've seen because Russell is truly feeling like really comfortable with the way he's playing. It took him like a half of his first game to get going, but he's doing what looks like vintage Russ to me, not necessarily out of the pocket, but it's giving his receivers a chance to make plays down the field, specifically George Pickens on a couple of these, but then Mike Williams versus man-to-man, like throw the ball up. The ball was in the air for 5 seconds, and Mike didn't even get his head around when the ball was released. And so he's just playing. What's cool is like we already know what the Steelers defense is, right? Like the steel curtain, like it's always been good, but now the Steelers have an offense and a run game and a guy that can throw the ball down. Like it's impressive. They're legit contenders in my opinion.
Yeah, and that defense continues to force teams to make mistakes, which is how they're also able to win the ball. So there we go. We've got the Arthur Smith play sheet right in front of us. Run the ball, run some boots, and throw it up. That's essentially what they're doing.
Throw that thing up.
Just throw that thing up. Russell has matched Kenny Pickett's 2023 passing touchdown total, by the way, with 6. He's done that in just 3 games. So I'd say this was a nice, big, fat upgrade, which is why we've been saying, at least I've been saying, that for right now, I know it's a little early for this, but I've got Mike Tomlin for my coach of the year.
Oh, wow. All right. I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you pick someone else?
Probably.
Episode
We're not
2 of
doing
the
an
week.
award show here. Yeah.
I know. We don't do lists. We don't do awards.
You
Scoopies.
do lists, and we definitely do awards
I've
because we have
become-
Uncrustables coming up.
I have become a list person, and it's bad. I enjoy them. I watch other shows do lists, and I'm like, why do I enjoy this?
You've turned the corner.
I've turned the corner now that I'm
We're
always
doing one
I
show
get it.
this year with just lists.
I would love to. Let's do it.
Let's do it. The list show. Scoop City.
All right, let's go back to the rock bottom teams. Let's do these 2 quickly because I think we saw it coming. We got the Colts and the Jags. Let's start with the Colts. Look, Ballard's been through a lot of different quarterbacks. He can't seem to get it right. The Anthony Richardson situation has been really difficult. I think for that organization of just what do you do now? Joe Flacco has struggled the last 2 games. 0-2 record, 67% completion percentage, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles for loss. Like, just not good. So
6
what do you do?
6 turnovers in 2 games.
Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, Shane Steichen just announced they're riding with Joe Flacco another week, so you ride with Joe Flacco.
No, that's what they're doing for now. But here's the thing, because you were really critical of Anthony Richardson. I was pretty critical as well.
Rightfully so.
You had never heard that before. I had never seen it before. Can he win this team back over? Like, can he try to get this job back?
That's a good question. I don't know if he can win the front office over. I think he can win the team over, right? Like, everyone makes mistakes. He's young. It was his 10th career start. And I was harsh on him, and rightfully so, because you don't tap out on your team, dude. I'm sorry. Like, I think this benching had, like, it had to do with, 1, you're completing 44% of your passes, and they're losing because of you. And then 2, you tap out and you quit on your team. That's how I viewed it, right? And then it doesn't help when Joe Flacco goes out and he's averaging 3 turnovers in the 2 starts. So it's like one of those things like, all right, like, what's happening? What's going on? Because technically they're still in the playoff race. Like, they got to win some games down the stretch, and they've had some tough games, but they can turn it around. And it's just like, if Joe Flacco has another game where he's losing the game for you, which he has the past 2 games, if he makes it 3 in a row, like, you're going to have to go back to Richardson, because Richardson was doing that, and at least he can try and play and develop and stuff like that. But this benching was so much more than just like the play on the field for me.
All right, now let's get to the Jags. And when I watch them, all I think is, this is why you fired a defensive coordinator, Mike Caldwell, in the offseason? Like, this is what you did this for? Because it doesn't look good. They could be on to their 3rd coach in 5 seasons if they wind up firing Doug Peterson here, whether in season or at the end. And then Trevor Lawrence right now is trying to figure out what he wants to do. He's dealing with an AC joint sprain. So he's trying to figure out, do you get the surgery, which would put him out for the rest of the year? Do you try to work through
Get
it?
the surgery, big dog. Y'all aren't winning nothing. Mac Jones almost beat the Vikings, because that's Sam Darnold threw 3 interceptions. But yeah, I think if you're Trevor, you just hard reset, because you're probably going to have a new coach next year, even though I love Doug Peterson and wish he wouldn't lose his job. The results have not been there. And so, yeah, I mean, look, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to come back and fight through it. I was with Justin Herbert when he had a similar injury to his left shoulder, not even a stolen shoulder, and it completely affects the way you play. So if you're not in playoff contention, go get it fixed up, big dog.
Yeah. And we've talked about Trevor Lawrence. We talked about the contract a lot on the show. And I just want to wrap this up with, of the 27 active quarterbacks with at least 60 career starts, Lawrence's winning percentage ranks 26th right now. He's a 37%
That's what $55 million will get you.
It's a tough one. Hopefully he can get the surgery, get better rehab, come back next season. All new vibes. Poor guy's dealing with another coach. All right, then we got the Buffalo Bills. What is their ceiling? Like, we're looking at this team right now. What do you think makes Buffalo so special right now?
Josh Allen. Duh. It's like,
let me re-ask that question.
No, I like it. It's something to where.
Duh.
Yeah. I mean, duh.
No. This is what you're supposed to say. Ready? Buffalo Bills. What makes them so special? Josh Allen. No notes. That's what everyone's been doing. Have you been singing that? Everyone does that. No notes.
No notes.
No notes. There you go.
No
Josh
notes.
Allen.
No notes.
No, but that being said, though,
really well.
We talked about this when he was on the show. We talked about this in September. The Buffalo Bills will go as Josh Allen goes. As long as he can stay healthy, as long as they can continue to help him as much as they can with what they have. They're dealing with so many injuries. My worry for them is just January. Are they going to be able to continue to play this way and rely on what we know are not the superstars around Josh Allen to get them past some of these monster teams.
Amari Cooper hasn't even played the last few games either. Like, I want to see him get healthy. I want him to see him get out there because the last few games he hasn't played, Josh Allen's turned the football over. He's fallen back into that trap. A little bit of what he completely did not do the first 8 weeks of the season, that's turn the football over, right? So the last couple games, a little bit like one of those, like, no, don't fall back into it. But they end up winning. And I will say that Sean McDermott defense is flying around. I've been really impressed with how they played.
Yeah, Buffalo is 8-2. By the way, during the summer, I said that this team wouldn't make the playoffs. Yay, me.
Call yourself out.
I don't know what that was about. I'm never anti-Buffalo either, but I just thought this was the rebuilding year. I did. I know they weren't saying it.
Hey, for real, if they get into the 1 or 2 seed, is he coach of the year? Like low key, like dark horse candidate for what he's been able to do with that team? Because they don't have the talent they used to.
It's not a bad one. I haven't heard that. Maybe put that out on a show tomorrow. Go viral. Andy Reid's my quiet one. Like, no one's talking about it. I know he's Patrick Mahomes, but it's almost like we're used to him winning.
If you go like 14-3 or 15-2, you're winning coach of the year. You have to.
Yeah. How about the Cardinals? Let's go Arizona. Kyler Murray.
Let's go
sometimes
Arizona.
I think you stink, and then sometimes you're the MVP. Like, I can't figure out who he is. All I know, this version, I love.
You should love because he's putting out top 10 player tape. And you're right, they do have something special. And it has to do, and I try to like break down X's and O's, and I try to like show like why is Kyler playing better? They're asking him to do a lot less than he used to do. They're playing more complementary football with James Conner. Obviously, everyone knows about Marvin Harrison Jr. Trey McBride is, I'm not going to say the next coming of Travis Kelce because that's crazy, but the dude looks legit. They're in 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight ends, a lot, and they're taking a lot of stuff off Kyler's plate. So when Kyler does have to make a play, it's not all the time. Like, just hand the ball off every once in a while. Give me, like, he's throwing the ball accurately. But, like, literally the last, like, 4 games or so, you put on the tape, no name, no jersey, no short man because he's short. Like, you just make them all 6'4", every player. And you blind rank, he's playing like a top 10 player in the NFL right now.
Yeah, they've won 4 in a row. They've got the momentum. It's just, can they sustain this thing? They've got a bye week this week.
It's an interesting division.
Well, they're headed on the road when they get back. They got Seattle and then Minnesota. So,
both winnable. If they win both of those, like Kyler Murray, dark horse MVP.
Wow. Let's call it. I love it. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. When we get back, we didn't talk about the Bears, and we were talking about rock bottom.
The Bears.
We did it for a reason. Kevin Fishbain joins the show next. All right, welcome back to Scoop City. Joining us now is the Athletics Bears reporter, Kevin Fishbain. Kevin, on Sunday, we saw you tweet, and you tweet a lot of really good things about the Bears and observations you make, but this one stood out to us. You said the worst Bears loss in years, just a complete failure. Like, you just put it out there. So we know that you've seen tons of losses in your time covering the Bears. Why does this one feel like rock bottom to you, though?
Yeah, Diana, not that I'm keeping score, but 75 and 114 in my time on the Bears beat. If anyone's looking for someone to blame, you can point it right here. Go right here. I will say my best record is when Chase Daniel was in the Bears.
Let's go.
Welcome to Scoop
2
City.
years,
You can
18,
stay
19.
forever.
I was going to say, does this loss compare to the double doink, dude, or like not as bad?
I mean, so like double doink was kind of in like the Hail Mary category of just this heartbreaking, how did this happen? You lost to a good team when you should have won. But for this, like, it's one thing you have the Hail Mary loss and you go to Arizona and you face, if you guys have seen, that Cardinals team is well coached. They're a lot better than people expected. They punched the Bears in the mouth. It was a rough week at Hallis Hall leading into it. Like, maybe that wasn't as surprising as it should have been. So you're like, all right, you're coming home to Soldier Field. You've been really good at home. You're facing a last place team with a rookie quarterback, and you scored 3 points. I mean, the statistical comps for that loss was Justin Fields' NFL debut in Cleveland, which was one of the worst games I've ever seen. It was coaching malpractice at its peak, that game. And for us to be making comparisons to that game and that team and that situation yesterday, after like everything that we've seen over the past couple of weeks, was mind-boggling. So that's why I try not to be hyperbolic, but that's why yesterday just felt so bad.
What was the vibe in the locker room, and what the heck is going? You know what? Let's just go. I'm going to save Caleb Williams for later. What was the vibe in the locker room after that loss? Like specifically with the players and the leaders in the locker room.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, Chase, that a couple guys left as we walked in, which, you know, I mean, it's like, I've seen that, you know, that it's not ideal, but this is third in a row, and I'm not excusing it, but, you know, there's some guys that just didn't want to have it. We walk into that room, and it's just silent, and you had a couple team leaders that you expect to stand up and talk, Kevin Byard, Cole Kmet, and then DJ Moore, but it was just, you know, like guys I think those guys are stunned. I think they are confused. They're frustrated. I think those defensive players are probably maybe a little extra frustrated.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it wasn't a great game for the defense. They gave us too many chunk plays to New England, but, you know, like they held them to 19 points. You should win most NFL games when you do that. So it was a tough scene. And unfortunately, it's a scene that we've now had 3 weeks in a row of these just like locker rooms where you walk in and these guys are wide-eyed like, how did this happen again?
Yeah, how did it happen? Especially when the season started off pretty well, right? So they beat the Titans, the Rams, the Panthers, and the Jags even. And then now we're here. And we've seen so much of Caleb, obviously, on our TVs, of his body language and the way he appears to be frustrated and annoyed. What's he been like to be around, especially now?
Well, I will say, Diana, that in front of us, like the front-facing Caleb Williams, he hasn't really skipped a beat. Like, he has kind of been the same, like, very professional. He is not, like, he's not pouting. He's not, you know, he comes up post-game and he does his thing, and he expounds on plays. Yesterday, he went right up there. It wasn't even asked about, and he talked about 2 plays he missed. He talked about a sack that he took that he shouldn't have taken that knocked him out of field goal range. He talked about swing pass to DJ Moore, and when he should have kept the ball, handed it off to DeAndre Swift on third down. So he's accepting some responsibility. I think this is just, I mean, I feel like, and you guys see it on the sidelines, like he's also got to be like, what is happening? Like, you know, where am I? Like, I asked DeAndre Swift this today at Hallis Hall. I'm like, DeAndre, you're on the bench, and you look and you see Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, future Hall of Famer Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, and then you look at the scoreboard and it's 3 points. Like, how do you process that? I think these guys are just, I think a lot of them are just stunned that we've gotten, kind of, Diana, as you kind of laid it out, like that they've gone from post-London forward. I mean, you can even pick it out to like the moment before the Hail Mary. Like, they're about to be 5-2. They're about to get a huge win in Washington. Now, the first 3 quarters of that game were bad on all sides, and you saw the little hints of problems with play calling and coaching and game management and that stuff creeping up. So even if they'd won that game, it wouldn't have been this like statement. But still, to get from there to where we are now, like that's just like I never thought this was going to be a team that made a deep run in the playoffs. I think I predicted like 9-8. I thought like this was going to be a team. It's going to have its rookie quarterback's going to have ups and downs. It's going to be a really good defense. Their offense will be better than we're used to. Their offense is so much worse than it was last year. And last year they fired their coordinator and traded their quarterback. And it is now worse.
Bears fans,
wild.
Yeah, Bears fans are going through it, man, and rightfully so. Because for me, you know, when you draft Caleb Williams, and then you see the success that, you know, Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury, both of which you could have had both of those guys. You pick Caleb Williams, and then you see the success and really the development of Bo Nix in Denver under Sean Payton, and then you play Drake May, who has been playing a lot better, and then he beats you, and your offense puts up 3 points. What's broken here? Like, I don't think Caleb watching the film is broken, but he's really reluctant to make plays and to make throws, and he has some blame in this. But the offensive play calling has been porous as well. It belongs plays. Like, do you see them? They're probably going to make a change, even if they make a change offensive coordinator wise. Do you see them getting better this year?
I mean, first of all, I've learned in my time on this beat not to say this, but I'm going to say it anyways. Could it get worse? I mean, it can. Like, the Packers are coming to town, and that could get really ugly on Sunday. And then you got Vikings, and oh, by the way, national television on Thanksgiving in Detroit. Like, so yes, it can get worse. I mean, so Chase, I'll say, like, the play caller situation. Is it a spark? Is it if they do change it, is it somebody that just is tailoring things better to Caleb Williams? Like, they kind of have to. But as far as Caleb goes, I mean, you've broken it down and you've seen it better than a lot of us. But like, it just seems like so many things. Like his clock seems like it's going at not even fast or slow, just it's off. His like mental clock seems off. This is a guy whose accuracy was incredible in college, and if you look at their wins, it was really good, and that is off. Like, I don't know if mechanically he's like the Bears have said that mechanics are fine. So this is just someone that just seems like he's rattled by the offensive line, and then you go through and you watch the all-22, and no one's open, and no one's like receivers aren't getting open. They're not getting schemed open. You're not using Cole Kmet. You're not like relying on the run game. You're not doing like Drake May. It's simple. It's play action, roll out. Deep over route, guys wide open, hit him behind the linebacker, boom, easy 15-yard chunk. The Bears, they did that against Carolina and Jacksonville. They're not doing it anymore. And you guys, here's like the worst case scenario. The Bears are getting themselves in this cycle that they've been stuck in for a decade and a half.
I know exactly what you're about to say.
Like, you guys want the brief history lesson?
Sure, I love it.
Absolutely. No, yes.
All right.
Yes, please.
George McCaskey takes over as chairman in 2011. 2012, you have a new GM in Phil Emery. Well, Phil Emery did not hire Lovie Smith. He was given Lovie Smith. Bill Emery did not trade for Jay Cutler. He was given Jay Cutler. So you have those three guys together. Bears go 10-6, but Lovie gets fired because he wasn't Phil Emery's coach. So then Phil Emery brings in Mark Trestman. Well, Mark Trestman didn't draft or sign or trade for Jay Cutler, but he gets Jay Cutler. That 2013 team was actually pretty good. Offensively, it was the worst defense in Bears history. 2014 was an absolute disaster, worse than this year, worse than any year I've ever covered. They blow the whole thing up. Everyone gets fired, but guess what? Ryan Pace, who comes in as GM, he's stuck with Jay Cutler because of the contract. So now Ryan Pace has John Fox and Jay Cutler. They have a couple years. Well, then Ryan Pace knows he needs a quarterback. Well, he doesn't necessarily fill John Fox in on this whole quarterback search, and he decides to go ahead and draft Mitch Trubisky instead of Patrick Mahomes. And we don't need to relitigate that. There's a lot of things that went into that. But anyway, so the Bears have Mitch Trubisky with John Fox. He's about to get fired. He's a lame duck head coach. So John Fox gets fired. Well, now Ryan Pace hires Matt Nagy. Well, guess who Matt Nagy did not draft? He did not draft Mitch Trubisky. So Chase knows this better than all of us. 2018 was a lot of fun. Mitch Trubisky had some great moments in 2018. So did Chase Daniel. And then we move on to 2019. Things did not go very well. You start to see, head coach and quarterback are not working well together. And it continues to get worse so that Matt Nagy has to go trade for Nick Foles. And then that doesn't work. And Mitch Trubisky comes back in. Then Mitch is gone. Then comes 2021. And here's an opportunity for the team to reset. But no, they kept Ryan Pace. They kept Matt Nagy. They allowed them to trade up and draft Justin Fields. So you're like, okay, well, I guess you have GM, head coach, and quarterback aligned. No, 1 year, Justin Fields' rookie season, which was very ugly for so many ways. Fire Ryan Pace, fire Matt Nagy, bring in Ryan Poles, and bring in Matt Eberflus. Well, guess who they did not draft? Justin Fields. So Justin Fields gets 2 years with those guys, and then he gets traded. Then here we go. GM, head coach get to draft a quarterback together. They draft Caleb Williams, and it looks like it's just going to last 1 year.
QB purgatory, my guy.
And whoever Ryan Poles hires, assuming like it's just the head coach or who knows what's going to happen, guess who that head coach did not draft, who's going to take over next year if that's what they decide to do? Caleb Williams. And the cycle continues.
I don't mean to laugh, but that was a fantastic history lesson. Thank you for that.
Yes, claps.
For ripping through that, because when you lay it out that way, it really makes you feel depressed for the Chicago Bears fan base that just wants to see that maybe they got it right with Caleb Williams, and maybe they did, and we're still trying to figure that out. And Kevin, I feel like when I watch Caleb, it reminds me of when you're giving a presentation, and we've all had to do them before in school, where when you know the presentation really well, you just kind of go up there and you talk and you hang out. You don't really have any notes because you're just freewheeling. You're just going. You're just doing what you do. And then you had some of those presentations that you never practiced or studied or prepped for, and you have the notes and it's clunky and it's just not good. I'm not saying this is on Caleb. I just feel like he's part of this presentation where he needs to do too much and do things that aren't his strengths. And unfortunately, the weaknesses of Caleb Williams as a player are also the weaknesses of the Chicago Bears as a team, as a roster. So you mix this thing together, you blend it, and you get this. And I just don't know if there's a way out. I know people want the change. Shane Waldron is getting a lot of criticism. But what's the answer if they move on from Shane Waldron? If they decide, okay, new play caller, who's on this roster that can do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great analogy there, Dianna, because I do think, like, because Caleb Williams is so, he's very football smart. I mean, he's been engineered to be a quarterback since he was a child. They put a lot on his plate. And you guys have seen it. He's making changes to the line a lot more than rookie quarterbacks. And I don't know if he's doing it too much, but it's not working because the resulting play is not good. So, like, he's got to play, he sees something, he changes it, the new play doesn't work, and then if he goes with the original play, that play doesn't work. Like, literally, like, no plays worked yet. They had one good play yesterday, I think. And then they like got a roughing the passer penalty. Those are their two longest plays, like a 18-yard throw to DJ Moore and a 15-yard roughing the passer penalty. So, they have. Well, it's a weird dynamic, Dianna, because Thomas Brown is the passing game coordinator. He called some plays for Carolina last year. Well, Thomas Brown worked with Shane Waldron. That was one of the previously. That's one of the reasons that he was brought in here. And Thomas Brown is very highly thought of. He would make the most sense. But, I mean, if you're Matt Eberflus, is this a job? I mean, you kind of have to do something. He has to do something to save his job. But, the Bears have never, so you guys know this, the Bears have never fired a head coach in the middle of a season. As far as I could tell, at least this millennium, they've never fired an offensive coordinator. Now, Matt Nagy fired himself as play caller and passed it to Bill Lazor and then took it back. Yeah, but you have to. There hasn't been an offensive coordinator fired midseason either. So we're talking about things that, as bad as the Bears have been over the years, what could transpire this week has never happened before.
Okay, but you have new leadership there, right? You have Kevin Warren, who's overseeing all of it, and he's got a lot of power over this organization, and he made the decision to keep Eberflus as the head coach. That was his call. He was part of that decision making. Maybe this is his big move. After this season of going, all right, we need to get Caleb the right guy. It's Chase. I was going to ask you actually, just seeing Caleb's strengths and knowing what he does well and seeing what he did well in college and all the things that we heard about him coming out of the draft or into the draft. If you could pick any coach right now outside of Andy Reid to step in there to help Caleb do what Caleb does best, what are we talking about here?
I mean, Ben Johnson is the guy.
You're not even going with yeah. Okay.
No, because I was with Ben Johnson when he was a tight ends coach, and everyone in that building knew, as in 2020, that he was going to be special, just needed a chance. And look what he's done now. He's like so sought after that he's saying no to interviews and no to jobs, right? Because he wants the perfect situation. And if you look offensively, if they fix that line in Chicago, offensively, they have the guys that they need. Defensively, they were top 10 in defense all through the last 10 games last year, top 5 really. And their defense hasn't played up to standard this year. But if you get a guy like that, and he's an under center, he's a spread it out, he's like a do it all. And as far as Caleb Williams goes, what Caleb does well, Caleb's very good at pure progression passing. And what does that mean? It means hey, sweep the board left, right. If number 1 is open, throw it. If he's not, 2's open. He rarely gets to his third read because he's a scramble guy. What I see the Bears having him do right now, which doesn't make a lot of sense, is pre-snap decision. So that meaning you're cutting the field in half. You have a 2 high beater on one side. You have a one high beater on the next, and he's getting caught in between. He's playing reluctant. He's reluctant to throw the football at times. He's passing up easy completions because it's almost like it's getting coached out of him. He needs somebody to come in and just be like, hey, just play quarterback. Just do this. Like, it needs to be coached well. I agree that Caleb deserves some of the blame, but it's not being coached well right now.
Yeah, Kevin, I feel embarrassed, like looking back on some of the things that we were talking about in the preseason of, this team is built to win. Caleb is stepping into the best situation. Look at Jaden in Washington. They're running this college offense. Hey, Chicago, maybe run the college offense. Maybe they're doing something right in Washington, because they seem to be having success. So we'll see if they'll be able to figure it out. You hang in there. Just maybe one thing that they can hold on hope that maybe one day they can be good. Oh my God, you would have thought I asked him for his bank account number.
That says it all.
No,
he's looking up at the ceiling trying to figure out something, Diana. Oh man.
Listen, I still think they have the guy. I still think Caleb's the guy.
Yeah.
And in all of the Bears nonsense that I've covered, you've never been able to say that. You had moments with Mitch, you had moments with Fields, you had moments with Cutler, but there's a reason he was the number one pick. There's a reason he won the Heisman Trophy. I still think that as bad as things have gone, and even though we're into a potential another change, at least this time, I think they have the quarterback. So I think Bears fans can take some solace in that, but I get that, hey, the Bears are 8th in the league in interception rate.
Okay, there's a little bit of hope right there.
Right? Now, you could argue that he's not taking enough chances and he's being coached to be too conservative with the football. But, yeah, look, there's still talent on this roster. Whoever, if it's a new head coach next year, Dan, as you said, they'd be inheriting a good quarterback and a pretty good team. So I think Bears fans can hang their hat on that.
Kev, you like Uncrustables? You eat those little sandwiches?
I don't, but I'm familiar with them.
Yeah, they're like all the rage in the NFL. We have a new segment coming up next where we're going to hand out our Uncrustables. Basically, it's like our little trophy for people that are doing really cool things around the league. So you're the first one up. You're getting our Uncrustable to start this. But when we come back, we're going to hand them out to the rest of the league. All right, back here on Scoop City to close out the show today, we are going to bring back our favorite segment where we salute things we just think are really cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to hand out Uncrustables before we get into who's getting them this week. And we need to share a wrinkle in all of introducing this. We are also going to take away an Uncrustable for things that we find
Why are we taking one away?
Or wrong. So it's like a good award and a bad award in one, right?
Okay,
so
the bad award can be the grape and the good award can be the strawberry.
I knew you were going to say that, and that is not true. All good people with good hearts, good souls, and big brains and big muscles eat grape jelly. It's a fact. I read that once. So to begin, I would like to hand out an Uncrustable to Bergen County, New Jersey owns Saints New Orleans interim coach Darren Rizzi, and here's why.
You guys know me. I'm a pretty open guy, so this is how my day started. I get down here to the stadium, I get down here to Superdome, I go in the head coach's locker room, which I've never used before, right? So here I am early in the morning, I go to the bathroom, and this is how my day started. I clogged the toilet. And I'm like, this is going to be a crappy day, pun intended.
That's funny, though. I like that.
Here's what it was. Everything was new to him, right? The head coach room, the bathroom, everything to him. He's never done it before.
I mean, poop humor is hilarious to me. So you can say anything like that, and I'm all in.
I do find it so funny how, it just never goes out of style. We do funny jokes.
Oh, you
in
think
our
so
house
too?
with our
That's
boys.
hilarious.
Oh my God, my boys! That's all we do in our house is just to be fun. They think it's the funniest thing in the world. Never goes out of style. Right. So good for Darren Rizzi, and good for Darren Rizzi getting a win. I mean, turn the
interim
Saints
boost. I'm telling you right now.
Let's see. I know. Let's just see if he can do it against the Cleveland Browns next week.
Oof. Probably. All right, I got my first Uncrustable, strawberry, of course, goes to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield with the stiff arm of Nick Bosa might have been one of the coolest and craziest plays I've ever seen from a quarterback. He's literally stiff arming the defensive player of the year. on 4th down, and I don't think he was actually throwing to the guy he was throwing to, but that guy made a catch anyway, and they kept the drive alive, and they go down there, they kick a game-tying field goal, they end up losing, but Baker Mayfield, you are a straight dog because of that.
Yeah, that was cool. All right, my final Uncrustable that I'd like to hand out is to Leo Chanel, blocked the kick for the Chiefs. The Denver Broncos had this game. They had their foot on the throat of the Super Bowl champs. They were going to give them their first loss of the season. And Leo comes up big, so he gets the Uncrustable for me for this week.
Well, that's a good one. I thought they were going to lose, though, for real. Not going to lie. I didn't have much hope.
The Chiefs?
Yeah.
So did I.
I
I think most of the world thought the Chiefs were going to lose that game. It was like, finally,
Except
all right.
the Chiefs, why they are going to three-peat. Okay, next Uncrustable, strawberry, of course. It goes to Kyler Murray. We talked about him already on the show, but I've been impressed the last 4 or 5 games with Kyler Murray. We said it on the show earlier. Top 10 player right now. You put on the film, and he's playing like a top 10 player in the league. He's got that Arizona Cardinals team believing. He's not asked to do a lot, but when he does do it, it is exceptional. It is crazy. It is wild. My dark horse MVP candidate, if they can get to 10, 11, 12 wins. Probably won't win it, but dark horse.
All right, my final Uncrustable is to the flight attendant. Did you see this? So there was a group of people watching Sunday Night Football between the Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans. Of course, it came down to the final kick for the Lions. And you know when you're landing, or at least the preparations for landing, and the flight attendant comes on and says, okay, everybody, lift your... And it pauses whatever you're watching. Like it'll stop the movie or the TV show you're watching, so you pay attention to the announcement. So the Lions are about to kick to win the game. And she comes on to say, okay, everybody, and everyone on the plane is yelling like, no, stop talking. We need to see. And
Bad timing.
She figures it out. And she's like, oh, sorry. And obviously Detroit went on to win and everyone cheered. And that was just really cool. So she gets an Uncrustable.
I'll double up on that.
They need to serve Uncrustables on planes. They should serve them.
My mom's been a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines for like 40 years. And she tells me all the time, wish we could serve Uncrustables.
Seriously?
No, why did you believe that?
I would love to have your mom on.
She has been a flight attendant for 40 years.
I have so many questions for her. Maybe in the off season when we don't have too much football to talk about, we can just bring her on for this segment and just ask her questions that I've always wanted to know. I have a million questions for flight attendants and for people.
Yeah, you have some good flying stories. She could probably have some better.
Unfortunately. All right, so our taking away of an Uncrustable, so a bad play, a bad decision, or just a bad look, right? How about Matt Eberflus on the radio with local Chicago radio after another really bad loss? And during the interview, his phone is just dying. Like he doesn't have a connection. It sounds like me on our call sometimes. Like you're just like, where are you? What are you doing? It just is a bad look.
I thought it was a genius move. I'd actually give him 2 strawberry Uncrustables for it. He's playing the game, right?
Oh, you think that's I want to get out of it, so I'm just going to pretend I have.
Yep. That static, that like, right. I'm not here. I can't hear you. Gotta go. Bye.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. Who else are you taking? What else?
I would like to take away an Uncrustable to the Sun.
What? Wait, how many are we taking away? The Sun.
The Sun cannot have one. Did you see the Sun just poking through at Jerry World? Just, first of all, Jerry, close the blinds.
Get some curtains, Jerry.
Get one of those blackouts that you get when your baby's an infant and you just want them to sleep all day. Like, just get one of those really big ones and close the curtain. But also, it's just like, everything about that situation is so bizarre to me. It's like, you know where the sun is. The sun does not change ever. But it changes, but you know at what time it's doing what. So it's not like they didn't have the information.
Still an excuse. CeeDee Lamb catch the football.
You are hard, man. You say I'm hard.
Catch it.
Have you ever tried driving with sun glare? I am like, I've gotten almost like 50 wrecks over the last 2 weeks because of how bad the sun glare is. I hate sun glare. Hate it. It drives me nuts.
Well, that's
you
why
don't
you're
deal
taking
with
an Uncrustable away from a sun.
You don't deal with it in California.
Christmas is coming up. Do you have anything else you want to take away?
Christmas in California sounds awful. The Christmas
it's actually
music.
amazing. It'll be 70 and sunny.
Are the stores in San Diego playing Christmas music?
I haven't been to a store in quite some time.
Okay, well, they're doing that in New Jersey right now. They are playing Christmas music
It's November 12th.
I'm not ready. I don't want to hear it on the radio. I don't even want to think about snow right now.
You're Scrooge. Why? You're Scrooge. Don't even think about
because it's
snow.
not even Thanksgiving.
It's the season.
I'm wearing a tank top right now. It was 80 degrees 2 days ago. I don't want to think
it's
about
70 and sunny every day here in San Diego, and I miss the seasons badly, and I want snow in my life.
Aww.
Not for the long term, but for the short term. And when I feel snow and Christmas music, it makes me happy.
Oh, that's so cozy. That is the best. The best form of snow is early morning. It's so quiet around you because the snow is piled up so high. It's like an insulator.
Or you're in the mountains, 10,000 feet up, about to go catch some moguls on your skis, or you're going to half pipe it on the snowboard. That would be sick.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, dude.
I don't skate.
You've never skied?
One time.
The mountains are majestic in Christmas. Vale, Aspen.
See,
you gotta go.
I feel like all I do is have conversations with you about a life I don't have. So you just continue to.
Well, I don't have that life anymore either because I work every single day.
I know. We can dream. We will dream together that one day we'll be able to do all that. That'd be fun. A show out in Vale or a show out in
Athletic, New York
Utah
Times.
somewhere.
You hear that?
Right?
Take us
Let's
out.
do it.
Take us on the road.
Scoop City on the mountains. All right, that'll do it for us here for this episode. We will see you guys in a few days. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.